Good morning, everyone. Boker Tov. Boker Tov. Good morning, everybody. Shkoyach for coming out in this weather, mamash. We continue learning Adar Aleph. The last week of Adar Aleph, sponsored by the Eagles, Leilui Nishmat Tzivia Bracha Baselia, anonymously in honor of the coming of Mashiach, and by the Merkins in honor of their son Yaakov Akiva, completing the Nach Yomi, and for the protection of their son Hillel Tzvi Yehuda. The week is sponsored by Michael and Cindy Levy in honor of Dani and Lisa's 19th anniversary. Wow, as a yofi. It's so beautiful, and I feel so old when I see these things. I remember their wedding like last night. And for the safety of our chayalim and healing of the wounded, by Michal and Yodi Reinitz, for the thanks and appreciation to the Nashim Tzadkanias of our incredible community, and by the Hanekman family for the refuah shlema of Elia Shir Ben Hadassah Elisheva Bela. Okay, those who need pages, we're over here. I'm happy to inform you that we have optimistic, happy Torah. Every Torah is happy, but we're actually we're going to be completing a parak we've been hanging on to for a long time, and we're gonna end this off with a very promising and upbeat note. On the Svarim, it's Kuf Lamed Vav. And I'm just going to give a quick recap because we didn't learn last week. We were upstairs in the Avodah Ivrit, which was the Yadayim Shelanu event, which was so powerful. There's another one tonight, Nachon? What time? What's that? 8:15 at Zayit Ranam. Very, very good. Baruch Hashem. It's good stuff. It's good stuff. The buzz is there. I need a bigger, stronger buzz. So what we had been learning in this Sefer, Rav Sasson Kumi Ori, learning Geulah. The last few things we learned about was speaking about how the Western world always guides us to believe that what he called a sulam osher, a ladder of happiness, is somewhere you have to go to. They have it. It's somewhere outside of us. And it really creates a whole generation of FOMO. Like that really, with social media, with the way that things have been presented before us, it kind of creates a whole generation that experience FOMO, a fear of missing out. And what it also does is that it presents the world of cherut, of freedom, in a very backwards way, where basically the time we're living in, the calling, like we always say, when something so strong of kedusha is about to burst, the other side will come in the same exact time and accelerate its voice, and it's really showing us kilu, the exact other side of it. That's a siman, that the other side of what's being pushed right in front of you is waiting to burst, and that's a very good siman. Basically, the insanity of the world is like a siman that the non-insanity, the good, the teva amiti, the real nature, is about to come forth. Bezrat Hashem. And what we have to do is while we're going through this, seeing and smelling like, wait a second, good things are really, really about to come. And it's so hard to, it's easy to say that, right? It's actually not even to say that easy to say that these days, but whatever it is, we know that there's been so many advancements in the world of technology, which has led us to advancements, beautiful advancements in the world of health. Like what a bracha. What an amazing time we're living in. Rav Kook says that when you see advancements in the world of medicine, it's coming as a totza'ah of some type of global tshuva. That when there's some kind of tshuva taking place in the world, this brings about advances in medicine, which is very interesting. So when we speak about the advancements of modern technology or of the Western world, it's childish to just say it's all garbage, it's all bad, mapitom. There's things here that we have to really pay attention to, be like, wow, this is an incredible thing. Thank you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for this moment that we're living in. So there's been a lot of advancements in the world of technology, which lead us to advancements in certain fields of chinuch, in certain fields of medicine. But the advancements in the world of being connected to your true ruach is not so much. That is not so much. That's not yet. We haven't seen a massive advancement towards that, towards that world, towards that energy, which we're hoping for. Now, the last thing I just want to recap about is that the ruach of the tarbut, we're talking about the spirit that we're looking for to see it coming and advancing very, strongly. The ruach of the tarbut, like we said in the beginning, the tarbut, the culture of today's Western world is basically calling out, again, in the name of cherut, in the name of freedom. Be whoever you want to be, do whatever you want to do, act however you want to act, as long as you're being the true you. There's something very holy in those words. Very holy in those words. But the Yiddish neshama knows that it's not the way the rest of the world understands that. And that's what we're here for today. And that's why it's going to be happy today. It's going to be optimistic this morning. Because we have to know that good things are coming, because nature is nature. There's nothing you could do about it. At a certain point in this shlav, in this, dance, something's got to give. And in the next parak, we're going to see how to make that something's got to give happen faster. But today we have to land off with emunah, chazaka ve'etana. Really strong belief, really strong emunah, that something beautiful and something so natural will appear. That it's inevitable. It has to happen. En ma lasot. It's going to be. All right? It's going to be. But let's plug ourselves into the promise of generations and understand what that means. So we're on Daf Kuf Lamed Vav. And I'm going to cover a lot of text today. And I apologize. On Thursday, I didn't realize we got so caught up in the text. I didn't have a watch on me, and it kept you here till like 10:30 kimat. This is right in front of me. This is right in front of me, and Bezrat Hashem we'll stick to the time. Okay. Tznuot HaChofesh B'Am Yisrael B'Ameinu, we're on Daf Kuf Lamed Vav. Ba'omek ha'omakim, in the deepest depths, Kol Chipusei HaChofesh B'Am Yisrael, Sofam Le'agia LaTorah u'Lamitzvot. Anyone that's searching, any searcher, any Jewish authentic soul seeker and searcher will end up in the world of Torah and mitzvahs. They will. Why? How do we know this? What's that? Well, because you did. Some of you did. Ki be'emet ze ma shenishmat Yisrael mechapeset. Because really, this is actually what they're looking for. They just don't know that. But what they're looking for is a way to find a sense of being home in the world of Torah and mitzvahs, for sure, without a doubt. Therefore, it won't be silent, it won't stop, it won't do anything until it comes to that destination. And he brings a beautiful pasuk here from Shir HaShirim, where this basically is alluded to. There's a nirmaz b'pasuk, ad shematzati et she'ahava nafshi. I will look for you, I will seek you until I have found that which my soul loves. Meaning what? Hanefesh tamid ahava zot. The soul always loved, eventually, what the full picture will meet. Ach ani lo yadati, v'ka'et matzati. But the me that's being run by being confused or being very influenced by the world, I just didn't know. But when I reach that destination, what he's saying, the soul will be like, yeah, this is what I was waiting for. It won't be surprised. We may be a little surprised. Like, I have a lot of friends. They were shocked that they fell in love with Shabbos and Torah and mitzvahs. They didn't really, it was almost like, I really didn't think that was for me. I actually, it wasn't rebellion. They weren't rebelling, you understand? They just came to it, and then they realized, wow, I didn't see that one coming. He's saying, Rav Shlomo is saying, that's going to be for everybody. That's going to be for everybody. And again, next week, what we're going to be speaking about is how do you accelerate that process. But the emunah behind it is that this will happen to everybody, not in this like, you'll see, we'll get all of them. Not that tone. Like that, you keep them away even more. We'll get them, you'll see. At the end, they'll all come and just join what we've been doing for a while. You're going to keep them away for much longer like that. It's basically, at the end, every soul will find what it was looking for, that which it loved, that which it always loved. And that's so, honestly, that's gewalt. Like, that's beautiful. Forget about all our thoughts about what we see in front of us. Until I find that which my soul was loving and longing for. And remember, Paro wanted to make sure we never met that. That's why he put up, he added workloads and distractions, because he knew the second that the soul finds that which it loves, he has no dominion over Am Yisrael. he has no dominion over Am Yisrael. לא יועילו, second paragraph, לא יועילו כל גלי ההתנגדות וכל תנועות הכפירה השונות לכבות את להב האהבה הנשמתית של ישראל להשם. All of the opposition, all the movements of what he calls tnuot hakfira, the movements of heresy, all the different ones, they will not help to extinguish that flame of love, a soulful love that you and I and all of our brothers and sisters have. Like there's another pasuk, since he started, I'll just continue with Shir HaShirim. What's a pasuk that describes what we just said right now from Shir HaShirim? Does anyone know? That no matter what's going on out there, it won't blow out this fire, this בדיוק, מים רבים לא יוכלו לכבות את האהבה, ונערות לא ישטפו. It doesn't matter. No matter what we see in the world, that can't, once we're acting in the most natural way, nothing can come and do anything. Yeah, you have our page? Okay. And does everyone have copies? Yeah? I want everyone to look inside. הנשמה היא מקור החיפוש הפנימי. והיא יודעת היטב מה היא מחפשת. The real searcher, the real one that's conducting this search to find peace, to find a sense of being home, is the soul. And the soul knows what it's looking for. That's why we have to live soulful lives. The Torah we have to learn has to be neshama de Torah. The experience of living here has to be a soulful experience. Because the soul knows what it's looking for. ויש לדעת שהשכינה שורה בקרב ישראל, אפילו בתוך טומאותם, כמאמר הגמרא על הפסוק השוכן איתם בתוך טומאתם. One must know and remember this very deep inside, that the Shekhinah always resides amongst Am Yisrael, even within their tuma, meaning even within their confused state of what they think they're trying to build, or trying to connect to, or trying to be like. Because the pasuk says, "Hashochen itam betoch tumatam." You know, there's some psukim that I believe are the most underrated psukim in the Torah. This is one of them. This is like one of the most mamash. This is one of the most, I don't know, hopeful and optimistic and beautiful and promising psukim in the whole Torah. Hashochen itam betoch tumatam, that I'm in my tuma. And maybe what it's saying is that you may not feel it and you may not be excited about it. But guess what? It's beyond you. Hashochen itam betoch tumatam. It's in you. The Shekhinah is in you. Even in a state of tuma. ולכן נדע שהניצוץ האלוקי הנשמתי הוא המניע את האיש הישראלי. What keeps you going? What keeps driving us? What doesn't let us give up? How could it be? You saw that footage that went around, that beautiful post that was going around everywhere. I got it from like 30 places last week about how much percentage Yidden are in the world. Basically speaking about, you saw that? What it was, do you remember what it was? 0.02? Is that what it was? Wow. Like we're 0.02 and we're still fixated on this thing of like we actually have our own identity, our own entity. It's like, me'efo ze ba? That doesn't come that comes from the neshama. That comes from the soul. Our existence, the fact that we still exist, is because it's a soulful existence that's really been in the really driving everything. ואף שהוא טועה לתרגם חיפוש זה לדברים זרים וכיורים, and even though a person knows, wow, I can't just be silent, I have to look for something, and maybe it ends up leading us to finding things that are very foreign to us and very not right and not holy. Nishmato lo tichbe. His soul will never go shlufi. Ki b'shem kodshecha nishbata lo. We say this in the brachas of the Haftarah. Ki b'shem kodshecha nishbata lo shelo yichbe nero leolam va'ed. Hashem, you made a promise to us. As long as you're alive, which is always, our soul is always alive. En ma la'asot. ולעד תישאר בטהרתה ובבהירות מאווייה ובקשת מחוז חפצה. The soul will never stop and never, what's the right word besides give up? Never despair, compromise on anything until it finds what it wants and what it knows it needs and what it knows is really home. The neshama of Am Yisrael will never, it's impossible. It explains how we got to where we are right now. And it explains how we're going to continue going no matter what. No matter how many weeks we start the week off waking up and finding out 3 more chayalim were killed and so many more are injured. And yet we still have this emunah shlema inside. The soul will never, nothing can ever burn out our flame. And it'll always stay in its purity. Belachem, sofo lashuv limkoro. And that's why at the end, it's gonna happen whether we like it or not, that it'll come back to its source. V'im lohu, and if it's not the person himself, we're hoping it's the person himself, but he says if it's not him, don't worry. Your eneklach is gonna have payas whether you like it or not. He says it. It doesn't matter. Like you could go through this whole thing right now and akol beseder, but just know, like you're not fooling anybody, because the soul is much bigger than your experience going in this world through a physical body. Everyone will come back home. Sof Yisrael lashuv el Hashem. So I'm so hanging on to each word here in this beautiful, beautiful piece. Nishmat Yisraeli kodesh kodashim, hi lo tanuach velo tishkot ad shetagia le'an shehi tzricha. The soul of Israel is the Holy of Holies, and it won't be quiet, it won't rest until it reaches where it needs to get to. Zeh shomer Rambam, like the Rambam brings down Hilchos Chuva, muftachim Yisrael sheyasu Chuva. That's a beautiful, optimistic opinion by the Rambam. The Rambam says we're promised. It's like this embedded promise within the fabric of our creation. We will do tshuva. We learn the same type of lashon when the Torah says you will be something. Instead of hearing it as a commandment, hearing it as a beautiful fate, as like the fate of somebody. Like where do we see this else in the Torah? It's going to come up in 5-6 weeks from now. When the Torah says you will be a certain something, you could either read that and just be like, oh my God, I got to get my act together, or, oh, I'm destined to be this. This is unbelievable. Parashat Kedoshim. The Torah says Kedoshim Tiyu. So you could hear that to be like, oh my God, you will be holy. Or, listen, whether you like it or not, you're going to be holy. I'm telling you, you're going to be holy. That's to me, that's the Chiddush of the Balcha, changing the way I hear that promise, right? Kedoshim Tiyu, or Gewalt, Kedoshim Tiyu. I mean, it's not such a big, it doesn't sound like there's not a big difference here. It's a world of a difference. It's hearing the promise within the Torah. And not just the, you better, it's hearing the promise. Kedoshim Tiyu. Muftachim Yisrael sheyasu tshuva. Rav Sasson says, Zoi haftacha pnimit me'etzem gar'in haneshama. This is an internal promise from the source of the seed of the soul. Hatshuva ve'acherut hen davar echad. Freedom and tshuva are the same place. They come from the same place. It's the same thing. Shechen hatshuva hi hamatzav shebo adam na el hamakom shemevi oto lehofa'a shlema shel ha'ishiyut shelo. This is a beautiful line. I'm going to say it again in Hebrew slowly, and I want you to look at every word, and then we'll say it outside the text. It's the last line on the 3rd paragraph. Hatshuva hi hamatzav shebo adam na el hamakom shemevi oto lehofa'a shlema shel ha'ishiyut shelo. Awesome. Do you understand these words? Not so much? It's so deep. It's so promising. It's just beautiful. He said before that tshuva and cherut are the same things, come from the same place. And here he's saying over here, tshuva is a situation where a person is na. Na means moving towards. Where is he moving towards? A place that when you show up at that place, the all of you shows up there as well. You don't feel that only part of you can show up here. The thing that makes the full you shows up, feels at home, and the most important thing is unapologetic. I'll explain this. Even right now, okay? It's not a good example right now from me, because it's just different, but from anyone in this room. This is just a great example. How much of you did you think you kind of have to leave outside the door in order to come in here right now? Right? even right now as I'm saying this, it's like this all the time. It's everywhere we go, that the full us, the full package, I don't feel fully free to this, fully be me. Sometimes you meet neshamas like this. I have such envy to them. They're just cheresdik in neshamas. They're every night is Seder Pesach by them. They're always, they're leaning on you, or they don't, they're waiting for you to pour them something. Everyone feels like cherus, right? But usually, we live in a society, in a world, it's not our fault, it's just humanity's like this. And it's something to do with the times of right now. It's just always been like this. That how much of me, the full me, really is the one that's showing up in public? Not always.
There's usually different parts of you that are shown in different places that you go.
Right. Which is great. It's great. But he's saying over here, Chuva leads you to a place that everything that makes you feels at home. Is there any? It's cherut olam. It's cherut olam. It's the utmost freedom in the world.
I have to push back a tiny bit. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Why are you sorry?
Never apologize for fighting with me.
I have to or raise a question, right?
Yeah.
So many of us are supposed to Chuva, right? And it's like, I'm here very happily, would never go back, right?
Right.
However, like I had to hack off some limbs in order to make this tree healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like I had to, like there are some things I had to leave behind, and while, of course, like we would say, like we could call it the Yetzer Hara, the Sitra, or the Klipa, whatever, we could say that those things are not really us. Like Basofo Shel Davar, there's some things that we sometimes stuff down in order to do Judaism the way that we consciously know, or to express our neshama in the way that we prefer to express it, rather than the way that like maybe we were raised to express it. So, like, do we say that after we chazarnu b'tshuva, that like those parts of us that we like, the music that we don't listen to anymore, the movies we don't watch anymore, the words we don't use, all those things, are those like not really us? Like all that stuff, what is not Judaism or what is not Kedusha is not us? Or do we say that we are different now, or we take away some of us in order to add some more of us?
I think it's a very honest question. It's a gewalt question. I don't think that, this is my personal opinion, I don't think that what you're saying about you should be limited to Baalei Tshuva. I think that what you're saying right now is shayach to all of us, any of us, at any given moment. Can you I think you agree to that, right? Maybe it's just more bolet. It's like more rightfully like, when someone does not grow up eating kosher, keeping Shabbos, and being just disconnected for anything Jewish in their life, and then they say, I'm going to live a Jewish life. So it's like their change of life is more bolet. But those of us that grew up not like that, and it's like we kind of were always in it, but we had a lot of modern sprinkles all around us, we don't feel that need to do those drastic changes. I think that we actually have it much harder than you, but that's a whole nother conversation.
Like, what is the us? Like, at what point do we say, like,
what is the real
that's
us?
Not me. Like, is it always the thing that I left behind wasn't me? Or could I actually leave behind part of myself in order to expand other parts of myself?
I don't think you chop off the limb. I think you trim the limb so we can grow anew. And that you always have that little back, you always have a little bit of the old growth so that you can have the new growth. So keeping that in the back of us reminds us of where we were and where we've come to and where we continue to go to.
That's beautiful. And I just want to throw some ishbitz on this over here. The ishbitzer always says that when Mashiach comes, like when the great day of revelation will come, I'll realize that all those things that Kivyachol represented the non-me in a proper tshuva place are perfectly in harmony with the me that's standing before the King of all kings. So that's very hopeful. It doesn't really answer the question of what am I supposed to do with all those things till I get to that place of Mashiach coming. Like, is it proper to say I'm supposed to... Basically, your question is the real me only Kedusha? I think that's what you're saying. Is the real me, is the real us, only Dvarim Shebekdusha? So the real true us really is the all of my soulful experience in this world. Yes, 100%. 100%. That the real us, the etzem of who we are is our soul. It's not our body, obviously. I'm sure a lot of the things you're speaking about have to do with body stuff. So therefore, yeah, like it's not the real you. But also for the person that's kiviyachol from, it's not the real them. That's important. Did it confuse you more, the answer? Or yeah, it's okay? I think it's okay, yeah.
I think also you took the example of music. You didn't cut off music. You just directed it. Like,
music is actually a very big.
Just cut off.
Music is a really big topic here because many of us, our soulful identification actually has to do with music. And if you grew up in an era, oh my God, sorry, till today. I'm just shocked at how certain, I'm not talking about non-Jewish music. Non-Jewish music, in my opinion, some of it could be holier than a lot of the stuff that comes out of whatever. It's a whole tangent right now, but no. And when I was a teenager, we're pretty close in age, but we probably grew up on different music. You probably grew up on Garth Brooks and all that, no? Okay.
Totally.
Yeah.
But also, is like Nirvana, Rolling Stones, all that
So
stuff.
I'll tell you something.
Put it away. Like,
I'll
I
tell
threw
you
out
something.
the-
I'll tell you something.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something very, very strong about that. Something very, very strong about this has to do with Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman explains that it's talking about the nigun of the menagen of Arasha. They could somehow, the nigun, any Baal Menagin can conquer you. You're taking captivity. I see this my whole life. I've seen this. I've been a cause and an effect of it my whole life, right? Who you brought up right now, right? Kurt Cobain. It's mamish. It's the scariest, darkest side. It's the absolute opposite of life. It's the opposite of life. It's so hard to say those words because I was convinced when I was 13, every song he ever wrote was just for me. That's what I thought. Right? That's a dark side. I was thinking more about, we were raised from, but music was kosher. Like whatever we wanted to listen to was fine. And, I hate saying these names in the shir, but just to give the context, like the whole rap scene. I'm from Los Angeles. The whole rap scene, right? That stuff can get you. It could chop your. I don't know if it's your neshama, but it's like this emotional place in you, and you could say, no, that touched me. It made me. It definitely drew me. If eventually it led you could see the trail that it led you to feel like you did Chuva. Gewalt, gesundheit. That's a b'di'evit. You don't go lechatchila like that, right? Like till today, there's lyrics in my head from Dr. Dre. I don't understand. I could never listen to him for the rest of my life. It's like, why is it that I listened to this stuff when I was 12? I'm 43. It's still there. I don't know. But do I want to say that's part of the real me? Even though I identified as the real me? I'm happy to say that I don't want to feel that that's the real me. That's a good thing, to not want to. Otherwise, we'll get there. But it takes a long time. See, we're speaking about symptoms. We have to speak about, like, how do you get to a place that the beautiful, majestic you does come up and show up. And you have no sveka, so this is the real you. A lot of Balei Tshuvas go through shlavim that after a while of changing their look, changing their name, they're not changing their name, we're using the name that no one even remembered. You had to look back at birth certificates to find out what the real name was, right? Like, me, that Matisyahu's name is not Matisyahu, right? You know that? It's not even his name. It's Five-ish Herschel. But, huh? Like, but, so at a certain point, about Chuva will look at himself in the mirror and be like, okay, I'm sure this is holy and it's definitely different than what I was, but, Baruch Moshe, Scott, like, you start looking in the mirror and like calling your name and saying, who do you feel? You feel like, so with what Rav Sasson is saying, when the zrima of the klal, not just individuals, but you're in the presence of the klal that's looking to find the real them, so it hits less hard, it's less intense. That's why you have Balei Tshuva yeshivas. That's why you have, they tried to form this a few years ago in Eretz Yisrael to actually form Balei Tshuva yeshuvim. Because they felt that the Balei Tshuva that got really, really from in Eretz Yisrael, they did not fit in Mea Shearim, in Haredi places. And they also didn't fit in like modern places. It's like its own breed. There was a whole chevra that was involved with this, like Shuli Rand and Evyatar Banai and a bunch of artists were trying to help create this world for them, because it's a very deep inyan of identity crisis. But the real us is where the soul truly discovers as feeling most at home. And after you tasted real Torah, you can't feel at home with Smells Like Teen Spirit.
I just don't see why it has to be 100% one or 100% the other. I always learned that you're supposed to take the mundane and uplift it. Take it with you. No one's supposed to be only in their books. Rav Bina used to kick Yoni's friends out. Go see a movie. Here's 50 shekel. You're learning too much. So there's got to be a way to balance out. It's a
different mangina in this shul. I just want to say something. That's not a kav that I mekabel. Like it's not my shita. It's not our shita. Not if something is damaging your soul.
I'm not saying if something is damaging your soul. I'm saying if you're turning yourself completely into someone you're not.
No.
You should throw out your past instead of it.
Chas v'chalila. But we're not saying that. We're not saying that. Things can help us in our path that have nothing to do with where we came from. We're open for that.
And that's fine. It doesn't mean to throw everything out.
No one said to throw anything out, but all we're saying is that the neshama is so adin. The soul is so delicate, it's so sensitive, it's so gentle. If there are things in my life that are going to continue to prevent me from getting access to my neshama, I have to be open to the notion that maybe for now I could put it on the side. Not with this, I'm throwing it all out and burning things in the woods. I don't know if you did that, but I'm saying like... No burning. Not with that necessarily. I'm saying but the attraction to light doesn't really demand of us to like negatively associate with darkness. It could be a beautiful movement. That I believe that like real light is just contagiously beautiful. And it doesn't drag out from us this like nikudav, being so angry and throwing things and burning things, afuch. It will stop being certain. It will stop being entities. So we have friya lanu kvar. But to start off lechatchila with a sheifa of saying, my mind, the way that I was born, was raised. Hashem wanted me to have all this in my being, and as a sheifa to say, how could I continue to what was the word you were to integrate like lechatchila? I'm just selling myself so short, because there's so much more that's available to me. If I'm willing to lefanot makom, I'll probably be shocked as to how much beauty keeps on showing up on my doorstep. There's a big difference between that and going milchama with these things. Yes?
I think in the process of growth, even though I'm not a Balcha Tshuva, I'm making much different choices than I did when I was younger. So I think it's a matter of making different choices for oneself that are on a higher level.
Hopefully. I hope we do that. That would sound like really smart. Bezrat Hashem. So look how Rav Sasson continues to develop this in the bottom paragraph. כל הניסיונות ללכת לשדות זרים לא יצלחו. Saying you want to keep on trying to go to foreign territories that are not the territory of your neshama, nishmat Yisrael, lo yitzlachu. It won't prevail. Lo yitzlachu. It won't work. כי עם ישראל מבקש בעומק העומקים שלו את האישיות האמיתית שלו. Am Yisrael is really asking for the real me to be the one that shows up. היינו בגלות 2000 שנה וידענו שזה לא המקום שלנו. Right? No one ever thought this is like, there you have yechidim, bodedim, like in Berlin. Like in Worms, we have some documentation, people that actually really thought this is the new Yerushalayim. But as a klal, 2,000 years of exile, we knew it wasn't our place. בעומק עומקים של הנשמה שלנו ידענו שאנו זרים בגלות. In the deepest depths of our soul, we knew we're strange here, and we're in galut. We're strangers in exile. התנועה לצאת לחירות עולם לא הסתיימה בהגעה אל הארץ ובניינה החומרי. And this is like our line here. The movement towards real redemption, חירות עולם, didn't end by just merely making aliyah and by building up the country. היא תמשיך לדחוק בקרבנו. It's going to continue to push us within our midst. ותניע תנועת חירות רוחנית. It'll start an engine of חירות רוחנית, spiritual חירות, להגיע למקום הפנימי שלנו, to reach our inner chamber. Like I think what he's saying here, and it sounds so beautiful, is that the more that I taste of that which is holy and makes me feel at home, the result will be, I just want more of this. Give me more. Give me more. The more my soul feels at home, it'll just be a tnuah of ani rotze yoter mize. Give me more and more and more of this for cherut olam. This is like the real cherut. You want to say something? Chamaliba? I thought your hand was... Okay. Now, Kuf Lamed Zayin, habriyut shel Am Yisrael.
I think
Yeah.
I hear from this.
Yeah.
Is we really want to get to that place. The only way to do that is to be starting the engines by coming to Israel. I mean, a lot of people think like we'll get there, but not now, because now is not the right time. And we're striving for that. Our souls are striving for that place, but they think that they could find a different route to it. And that's not what I'm hearing in his words. I'm hearing it starts by the Irish. That's where it starts.
That the ability.
That's where it ends. That's the beginning
That's where it starts.
And then it opens up the other options.
Amen. אמן, בעזרת השם. לאורך כל ההיסטוריה, הבריאות הנשמתית של עם ישראל שברה את כל השלשלאות של הרוחות הזרות לה, ושבה אל בית אביה מנעוריה. Like throughout history, the soulful health of Am Yisrael, it broke any chains that it found itself in, spiritually speaking. And it came back to its father's home throughout all generations. That explains the fact that this 0.02 still exists, right? Now this is crazy because I don't know when he wrote this sefer, but look at this. Sha'at milchama, at a time of war, היא דוגמה לפרץ נשמתי שבוקע החוצה ומראה את הבריאות הנצחית של עם ישראל. Can it be more... It's unbelievable. What did he just say over here? He said the time of war causes, as an example, of the soulful peretz. It's one of the names of Mashiach also, right? Lifrotz. To break through, crack through anything, and showing, displaying the real, eternal, healthy state of Am Yisrael. Lo yo'ilu kol hanisyonot le'ashpi'a al Am Yisrael. All the attempts that tried to influence Am Yisrael, לדלדל את חוסנו של הצבא, to dwindle down the immunity of the army, ולעשות שטיפת מוח תרבותית של ערכי אירופה הנבובים, and to brainwash us culturally with, European culture. No, it's crazy. I know, no. I think this is like 5 or 6... Huh?
It says in the front, question to Yahweh.
This is 3 years ago. Yeah. It's crazy. Crazy. בעת מלחמה, at a time of war, כל עם ישראל מתעורר ומתגייס. האחדות מתגברת, וכולם מבקשים לתת כתף ולחזק את הצבא והחיילים. ועם ישראל בבריאותו מופיעה בכל הדרו ויופיו. Look, as heartbreaking as this time has been, have you ever been more proud to be part of Am Yisrael than in your life? Were you ever more humbled to be in the presence of a chayal than ever before in your life? Were you ever more just blown away by the fact that this tiny group of people that keeps on getting blow after blow, and especially after Simchas Torah, knows how to love the way that we've known how to love in the last 4 or 5 months? Never. He says, in Et Milchama, that which is the truth of us breaks through everything and shows up and appears. Like, you want to know? This is the real us. This is actually the real us. Zeu klal gadol. This is an amazing thing, he says. Teva ze teva. A'i efshar leshanoto. And there's something, you can't change nature. להבדיל 1000 הבדלות, זה כמו ניסיון לאלף חתול להיות מלצר. He's saying, on the contrary, what's that like? It's like, if you're going to try to be someone else, it's like trying to train a cat to become a waitress. bless you. A waiter. כמה שלא ינסו לתרבט אותו, you'll try to לתרבט. Interesting word. לתרבט, to culturize the cat, להלביש אותו חולצה יפה, put on a nice shirt and an apron or whatever, ללמדו ללכת על שתי רגליים ולהחזיק מגש. You try to train a cat to know how to stand up on 2 feet and then hold a tray. ברגע שיראה עכבר, the moment it sees a mouse, הוא יזרוק הכל וירדוף אחריו בלהט. כי שום השפעה תרבותית לא תוכל לשנות את טבע הבריאה, כמו שאי אפשר לבטל את חוק המשיכה. It's an amazing thing. There's a chok of teva that's within us. What is this chok of teva? What is the nature that's embedded within Am Yisrael? What is it? How would you define this tchuna that we have, that we've all seen so much in front of us the last few months? Arevut. Arevut ze leze. Being a guarantor for each other. True love for each other. True emunah in the netzach of Yisrael. And there are moments in life where it just comes and shoots out of nowhere. And then there are moments where you're just wondering, does that even exist? But the nature is nature, he says. And this, we've been exposed now to our true nature. It's embedded within our nature. The way we've been acting right now is the most natural way in the world. The way we are with division and with thinking that outside cultures will really enlighten the beautiful piece of us is unnatural. It's not a natural thing. That's not who we really are. Malka, to just touch again on your question now, even though those are the things that maybe from my past made me who I was then, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's attuned with the true state of my nature as being a Jewish neshama. It doesn't deny the fact that it did what it did, but it doesn't associate, in the emes of all emes, that's not the nature of a Jewish neshama. It doesn't mean anything, it doesn't say anything bad or good. It's just, you understand? He's just stating, this is what it is, and malasot. But as long as we're trying to say, no, and it's amazing how politicians that still need to do serious Chuva always speak about hakihiliyah haben-leumit. What's the secret of a success? We've never been, up until a few months ago, they would always say, we've never been so accepted and part of this inner mishpacha called the international community. That's the opposite of being you, of being your nature. Because our nature is hen am levadad yishkon, ubagoim lo yitchashav. Our nature is that en malasot, we're separate, we're different. It's the way it's been since Bilam opened his mouth, and instead of a klala, this bracha came out, that this is what it is. We are on our own. It's not a bad thing. We know the only friend we have is HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's all we really need. Kach lehavdil gam bateva hanishmati. Lehavdil, this is also true with soulful nature. I efshar leshanoto. You can't change this. And that's also fine. That's how it's supposed to be. V'gam en tzorach leshanoto. And there's no need to change this fact of nature. Why? Ki bo talui kol osher hachaim. Because the true happiness of life is dependent on this nekuda. אפשר אולי לבלבל את הדעות והרגשות, כל עוד הנשמה עלומה והאדם לא נגע בה באופן ממשי. As long as your soul is a little bit dormant, you could be confused a little bit. אך ברגע שיש נגיעה בנקודה העצמית, but the moment that we touch that inner nekuda of who we are and what makes us us, now he says, ברגע שנוצרה סיטואציה שמעוררת את הנשמה מתרדמתה, the moment there's a situation that then awakens the soul from its coma, האדם משיל את כל התרבויות הזרות. I'm a yid. Ich bin a yid. I'm Jewish. I'm a Jew. You have these people that are now, for instance, we mentioned his name before. What is this Indian of Matisyahu freaking out now about being a yid? Guys like Michael Rappaport. What's this Mishigas? What is it? You have other people, a few people like this, where they're just going crazy, completely out of proportion, and definitely ruining their whole careers in the world of the Tarbuyot Azarot, and they couldn't care less. Why? They got exposed to the truth of all truth of what really makes them who they are. of true happiness. True happiness is when I'm connected to who I really, really am. And when I'm connected to my nekuda of emet, of who I really, really am, nothing in the world can stand in that way. That's how I understand this, like, crazy. And Alvai, it should go forward with many other people as well.
It sounds like what you're saying with Malka said before is that you are getting rid of the parts that are not really part of you. You thought they were part of you, but they weren't.
That like foreign culture stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just nervous. I'm hesitant to just say it straight out right now, but more or less, yeah.
I mean, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, but I just don't want us to feel guilty because it's not.
It's not. It's just
many of us were born into a world, yeah, but it's also, that's the way Hashem wanted it to be also.
If anything, you should be proud that you were able to, like, push forward.
Yeah, besimcha. But with excitement and love. If Hashem didn't want it to be that we were so influenced by the outside world, it wouldn't have been in the first place. And we have to remember that in our path of being. What are we here for? We're here to be Ovdei Hashem. That's it. That's all we're here to do in this world. But unfortunately, a whole generation produced that word, Ovdei Hashem, having the worst connotation to it, or the most depressing connotation to that. We're here to be Ovdei Hashem, and all that. We're to be a servant of God? To spend your life being a servant of God? You know what I'm talking about, in honesty? At a moment that I realized that this is actually all the joy in the world, to like be really me, like really, really me. האדם משיל את כל התרבויות הזרות, את כל התאוות הנמוכות, וכך מתגלה עם ישראל בטהרתו. The example he gives you is great. This is really a great example. משל לאדם שכל חייו חושב כיצד להרוויח כסף. Someone spending a whole life trying to figure out how to make money. והנה העשיר הגדול ביותר בעולם בחר בו להוריש לו את כל הונו. Wow. The richest dude in the world saying, you know what? I'm about to check out. I want you to receive my inheritance. That's it. That's all we know about this story. אך התנה זו בכך, but there was one condition, שיבוא ביום ובשעה מדויקים למעמד העברת הירושה. There's an exact day and time. You have to show up in my house, or wherever it is, the lawyer's office, to receive the inheritance. It's an exact moment. אותו אדם הולך בדרך אל המעמד הזה בזמן המיועד. Okay, he's going there. He's so excited. Everything he ever dreamed for now is about to happen. He's walking towards that mifgash. כולו מתמוגג מאושר. He's so excited. ולפתע מבחין בתינוק ואימו טובעים בנהר. And then he sees chas v'shalom, a mother and its child drowning in a river. הלא בוודאי יקפוץ מיד להצילם, אף שיאבד את כל הירושה הנכספת. Of course he's going to go and jump and save their lives at that moment, even though he also knows he'll lose everything that he thought he ever wanted. זהו דבר פלא, Rav Sasson says. This is a pele. This is a wondrous thing. אדם שכל חייו חושב רק על ממון, a person who's only thinking about money his whole life, מוותר עליו בלי שום התלבטות? You're giving it all up without even thinking? But again, אלא שכאשר נוצרה סיטואציה שמעוררת את הנשמה, when a situation awakens that is created that awakens the soul, היא פורצת בכל עוצמתה. בכל מאוויי הנפש הנמוכים נעשים חיוורים למולה. All of the wantings and desires of the soul that are much less become pale in light of the moment of what it knows it needs to do in this world. The person still maybe wants money. But in light of what he knows he needs to do right now, it's nothing. It's nothing. So I like this shita because what Rav Sasson is not saying, he's not saying the way to get to Chuva and the way to be the real you is go and look at all the dark things in your life, compare it to holy moments, and then you'll come to a rational conclusion that it's worth checking it all out. Saying no. What we need to do, and that's the next parak, is to create situations, situatiot, like he said it a few times, is to create situations that awaken the soul. You understand? There's two ways of getting to home. One is by looking at how dark outside of home is, and other is by making home so attractive. Which one are we going to choose?
Why can't there also be nukudot of light along the path? This really seems like it's an all or nothing, and it's really bothering me.
No. So you're misunderstanding it. Not at all. Or I shouldn't say misunderstanding it. I'm not giving it over well enough. Chas v'chalila. It's light. There's light everywhere. There's light everywhere. The more light that awakens me meeting my neshama, the more I'm going to want to be more attracted to it, instead of going to the place of saying, let's look at how bad things are. It's a lashita shelanu. Because you just get stuck in depression, in darkness. Afuch. It's to create in our lives situatsiot shemeorerot et haneshama, as many as possible.
But we live in a world of reality where not everything is, fairies and butterflies. Where there's a lot of sucky things in the world that you can't ignore. Or that you have things in your life that are part of your life. What are you going to do? Throw it all in the trash? No.
We're actually not speaking at all about even dealing with the trash. We're not even talking about it.
So how could you come so beautifully home if there's so many things along the way that either you like and don't want to be gone with, or in they're in your life and you can't throw them out?
Because the more, it's good what you're saying, but the more situations in life that awaken the neshama and that make it feel at home, the easier the transition towards living just wanting to have just light is. It's not hard. From outside, it's very hard, but the more that I feel more the real me without it feeling so heavy, it's like I'm saying exactly like you. If I'm going the other way, and I'm constantly reminded that there's so much darkness and pain in the world. We all know there's darkness and pain in the world and things that have, each of us slept with for years. But we also believe in the power of situations that come and make my neshama feel alive, and to not doubt it while it's happening, to just let it be, and not to do cheshbonot either, like how long is it going to last, how long is it not going to last, like to just allow it to be. But all we have to do is figure out ways to create more and more situations. Like, don't bank on the war. Like, that's a very deep Torah here. Do not bank on the concept of how the war brings this out from us. He's just brought in his example showing us, well, look, that's actually what happens, but we don't bank on these things. But Baruch Hashem, we're Baalei Bechira, we could choose to create more and more situations that our soul just wakes up like it's no one's business. And the most profoundly.
Cake, just add vegetables.
Right, but Daniela is saying, but cake still exists in the world. I know, but can you imagine that the desire for vegetables, I know it's hard, but that the desire for lettuce somehow, on the left, right? Somehow, like how it works different for each person, kamuvan. But I know this for sure to be true, that the more that the lettuce is presented as worthwhile in the holiest way, don't freak yourself out too much. It's going to be good. It already is good, and you're getting corrected lens and vision every time I take advantage more and more of my neshama waking up. And if it's not b'simcha, it means it's wrong. That's a klal from the Baal Shem Tov. This avoda of the soul waking up, even if it's painful, it doesn't mean it can't be b'simcha. It's a lo soter. The world tells you it's a soter, that it contradicts each other. It's not true. It's mamash oto inyan. All right, just the last paragraph. Zeu tivam shel Yisrael. This is our nature. Umot ha'olam metuskalot mikach, מהעובדה שהן לא מצליחות לחנך אותנו. You know what drives the world crazy? You know what drives them absolutely nuts? They're so disciplined. It drives them nuts that what's that? הם לא הצליחו לחנך אותנו. They're trying. They're offering all the milgot. They're offering everything. They're forcing everything. It just doesn't work. ומרדכי לא יכרע ולא ישתחווה. לא יעזור. אלפי שנים מנסות הן לחנך אותנו ולא מצליחות. ומדוע? כי יש לנו טבע נשמתי. Because our nature is a soulful nature. טהור וזך, pure and refined. ללא מגע יד אדם. ככה אנו אומרים בכל בוקר. This is how we start off every morning. אלוקי נשמה שנתת בי, טהורה היא. ואף שעברו עליי הרבה ימים חשוכים, Daniela, this is so for you. This is unbelievable. Elokai, you wake up every. I know you say this. Elokai neshama shenatata bi torahi. Ribono shel the soul you gave me, it's pure. What does that mean? ואף שעברו עליי הרבה ימים חשוכים, הנשמה לא הושפעה מכך, ולעולם עומדת בטהרתה. That even though I had to go through whatever I've gone through, I believe in the nitzchiyut of my soul, that the soul is untouched. Elokai neshama shenatata bi teorai. The enjoyment and pleasure I received from things that aren't soulful may be good or bad for me. But what it definitely does have no shlita over is the atzmi, is the me, is the neshama. Why? Teorai. Ata barata. Ata yitzarta. Ata nefachta bi. It's all you. Kachi nishmat hayachid. This is what it's like as an individual. Ve'kal v'chomer. This is so Rav Kook. Kal v'chomer nishmat klal Yisrael. This is so correct regarding the neshama of klal Yisrael. אלפי שנים עברו עלינו, קשיים אדירים, נפילות קשות, טומאות רצוצות ששלטו בנו, תמיעה עמוקה בגלויות גוף ונפש, ולמרות כל אלה, and despite everything, אלוקי נשמה שנתת בי, טהורה היא. הנשמה שלנו טהורה, why? כי היא אור השכינה. Our neshama is the light of the Shechina. What did we say before about the Shechina in the beginning of Shir? Hashochen itam betoch tumatam. That it doesn't matter. You cannot darken. I know this sounds a little bit contrary to a lot of things we may have said before, but the soul cannot be messed with. It can't be. There's a very important book. I read it years ago, and I used to recommend it to a lot of people. It's called The Untethered Soul. Have you heard of this book?
Mm-hmm. Rabbi Cohen is writing a book called The Retethered Soul. He's like
The Retethered Soul.
And he's just missing, like,
is it based on that book?
Yeah, I mean, like, he read it. And
right, because it's not Jewish. Yeah. Oh, I'm so happy to hear this.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear this because it's like, whenever I recommend to you, like the John Kabat-Zinn Chevra, like, it's nice, it's beautiful, but it's not our shoresh neshama. So that's a lot of good ideas in these fields, but so the untethered soul, I'm so excited about what you just said right now. The retethered soul.
It's a great book. It's just not Torah.
Nachon. Our souls, en ma lasot, it stays in a place of teva, that's of teva nishmati, that's chai v'kayam forever. It's the aura of the Shechina that is dwelling with us. V'kedushat ha'elukut shochenet bekirbeinu. And the sanctity of godliness dwells amongst us. Hashochen itam betoch tumatam lachen. Shum tum'ah lo tuchal lenotzcho uleshanotenu. No tumah, no matter what it was, no matter what you ever did, can never beat us and change who we really are. Ki kashem she'i efshar leshanot et ha'elukut, just like you can never change godliness, thank God, kach ei efshar leshanot et nishmat Yisrael. So too, you can't change the neshama of Am Yisrael, which is all a pure abundance of godliness. Ani Hashem lo shaniti v'atem bnei Yaakov lo chelitem. Ze shoresh hacherut shelanu, hakodesh ha'atzmi. The root of our real freedom is not to do whatever we want to do and hopefully merge everything together. The root of our freedom is hakodesh ha'atzmi, is when holiness appears, and our job of our door is to make that the most enticing, beautiful, attractive, and feel good concept in the world. That kedusha shows up more and more in me. That these words actually sound like, whoa, I can't wait to go to, I can't wait to go there. I can't wait to meet more people like this. I can't wait for that to show up more and more and more in my life. For that to sound shaveh, for that to sound exciting. And I think it's very good the things you're bringing up, Daniela, because as long as I think that it means I have to give up on things in life, then the way that it's being presented is wrong. You understand? The way that it's being, the way that the PR for it, if what you're hearing from the PR of Kedusha showing up more in our lives means, I got to get rid of that stuff, then the way that it's being presented is wrong. Like, I'll give you an example. If someone's trying to get you to come to Shirat David on a Friday night, right? And what you hear from the invitation is, eat a lot on Friday afternoon, try to get a nap, tell your friends and family you're not going to be home for a while. Like, if that's the way you speak about it, first of all, it may be true, it may not be true. It's not the truth of the experience. You understand what I'm saying? The way you speak about something, I hope, creates a situation of that it's me'orer the neshama, is only good. It's only nice. It's only pretty. It's only beautiful. It's only attractive. It's only attractive. What am I gonna do with all the things afterwards in my life that maybe don't shtim to now this new awakening? Elokim gadol. God's very big. And God has patience. And the more like-minded people we can surround ourselves with that aren't scared of what you may call change, what it really is actually stop changing from who I really am and go more and more to who I really am, the more pleasant and beautiful the process is. Mamash kacha. A lot of us look happy, no? Even if we're hungry. It's okay. We're going to get there together. What we have to do, though, and this is where we continue next week, is we have to say, okay, איך אנחנו גורמים לכך שהקודש מופיע? So how do we not bank on wars in order to know who we really are? I think that's a worthwhile avodah to spend time on. We'll continue that on Sunday, B'ezrat Hashem, next week.